I'm Malcolm Hebden, but a lot of people will know me from playing Nosy Norris in The Cabin in Coronation Street, which I've done for many years now. I've been very lucky, really. I mean, I'm getting on now, late 70s, but I've not had to call on the National Health Service or the hospitals very much in my, apart from this latest episode, which came like a bolt from the blue. I didn't know I had a heart problem, and it turned out to be a serious heart problem, not anything that could be cured by a stent, or which ended up with me actually being in Blackpool Hospital unconscious for 3 weeks, and the overall period took about 3 months. It did come out of the blue. I didn't feel well, went to the local doctor. She did some tests, she was very diligent, did the tests, and rang me here, more or less where I'm sitting now, to tell me I'd had at least one heart attack and probably more. The treatment I had there was exemplary. It was just wonderful. Well, I mean, of course it was. They saved my life. You can't ask for more than that. There was one occasion after the operation they didn't think I'd make it till the morning, and they all gathered around the bed. Apparently, I would have been very worried if I'd woken up, but to see them all staring at me like that. And that went on, but they were allowed to visit when they wanted. They could ring up. I mean, because some of them, one of the girls lives in Leeds, one lives in St Albans, another one lives here in the Ribble Valley, and they could ring at any time, which was so comforting to them. And the attention, and they thought the nurses, I'm sorry I missed them. I'm sure I'd have been terribly impressed. And Mr. Zachariah, who did the operation, and his team were just excellent. And they did their best. They said, we've done our best, but we don't know. But they did better than the best. I'm still here. They have to do very personal things for you, which I find, and they just said, just close your eyes and think of something else. They were terrific. I have no complaints at all. And when I think about it, I can't think of anything that they could have improved on. All the nurses were treating everybody. I used to leave the door open and watch the night nurses at the station there, their desk, still working. I mean, they do have to do very, very personal things for you. But it's not a problem to them, but it is a problem to the patient, I think. But I asked one of the girls, why do you do this, you know, at washing old men like me and things? And she said, it's called caring. And they were fab. No complaints at all. The food was a bit of a problem because they damaged my swallowing mechanism with tubes and things. And therefore I had to have food that looked like it had been pre-chewed. It was pulverised, what's the word? Liquidised. So I did lose quite a bit of weight, which again, another plus. It was, and I did develop relationships and find out a lot about some of the nurses' past and things. You know, we used to talk through the night, and to most people, I'll talk to anybody. It was almost fun. Not quite, but almost. I think the trouble is with National Health, they're under enormous pressure, both financially and staffing. It is more of a working sort of hospital. People come and go more frequently, but I've no complaints, none at all. It still remains, as I say, an example to the rest of the world.
Hello, my name's Carol. I'm the ward manager of the Cardiac Intensive Care Unit. I've seen your video, Malcolm, and I was really pleased with the comments you made about when you were in CITU. And I'll make sure all the staff see this video. It'll help encourage them to improve our service, and I think they'll be very grateful for what you've said about them. Thank you.
Hi Malcolm, I'm Luke. I'm a charge nurse on Cardiac ITU. It was a pleasure looking after you. I'm really pleased you're doing so well and you're back home, and thanks again for all your lovely comments.
The team brief for this session First things about the winter plan. As you know, we're all going into winter. It's certainly getting a bit chilly now. Our big difficulty at the moment is achieving the 95% 4-hour target in the ED. And currently we rank at the bottom for the entire country. As I've been saying for some years now, the 4-hour target for ED is not an ED target. I used to say it's a trust target. I'm now saying it's a health economy target. But there are certainly things that we can do within the trust to help that. Again, I'd remind people of the me test. If it was me, I would not want to sit for more than 4 hours in ED. If it were me, I would not want to sit for 1 hour in ED if I could avoid it. But I certainly would not want to sit for more than 12 hours, potentially on the corridor. So things that we can do are ensuring that we get early morning discharges from the wards so that there are beds available to allow us to flow patients through. So I'd ask people to those of you who work on the wards, to pay attention to that, please. The other things that we're doing over the winter, that we are introducing a frailty pathway, and there will be 10 dedicated beds on Ward 23 for frail elderly patients. There is evidence that if you treat these people through a frailty unit, you can get them home within 3 days, whereas previously they may have had an extended duration of admission. So frailty unit will be beneficial. We are changing Ward 24 back from a nurse-led facility to an acute medical ward, and we're bringing in extra therapists and medical staff to look after that ward for the duration of the winter. And we have opened 19 extra beds at Clifton for step-down patients. So we have increased our acute medical capacity, we've increased our rehabilitation capacity at Clifton, so those two things should help with the flow of patients. And we're also changing the models of care so that for our acute patients, our frail patients, they will go through the frailty pathway. We're diverting more patients into urgent care, and we're trying to drag patients through to the ambulatory care unit or the CAT unit, so that people do not need to have a hospital admission. So all of those things, we hope, will have an impact and help us to get through winter in a much more comfortable way than we did last year, because none of us who were there last winter want to be in the same situation this winter, because it was grim. It was grim for the staff, it was horrible for staff, but more importantly, it was even more horrible for the patients. And again, if you apply the me test, which I hope you all do, it failed woefully, the me test. The next thing is flu vaccinations. We've already had a couple of patients in the trust who've had flu. Flu vaccination programme has begun. Our current figure is somewhere in the region of 40% of staff who've been vaccinated. We need to be tipping much higher figures, certainly higher than 75%, ideally 100%. You should all have received a letter from me advising you about the availability of flu vaccination. Can I just have a quick show of hands? Have you all had that letter, please? You've all lost your hands, come on. Testify. Okay, good. I will be writing out again in the near future with a repeat of that. If you've had your vaccination, please ignore that because you've done the right thing. But it's to catch people and encourage those who've not yet been vaccinated. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
So we've done
Yeah. Okay. Celebrating success. It's the annual awards on Friday night. I know quite a number of you are going, and lots of people have been nominated. We've had 450 nominations in total. It gets harder every year to look at the winners and the runners-up. So hopefully we'll see you all on Friday night. I think there are still some tickets available, aren't there? There ones that are going a few.
Today's the last day, I think.
Not many, but if you want to go. The staff survey, big plea. Please can you complete the staff survey? Not just seen Jane. She's Manchester. Sorry?
She's in Manchester.
Sharon?
Yeah.
We talked yesterday. Do you know what the latest figure is on your update?
Yeah, it's about 21%. 21%. So
So we
this,
need to
we're
get a lot
better.
more.
Yeah, we're better this year than we were this time last year, and we're better than the Waste Performance Trust, which is about 13%. But the best performing trust is about 40% at the moment. So, what's to do?
So yeah, can we get everyone encouraged to please conduct a staff survey? It really is important we know what people think, so that's how we start to work and address the issues that people raise. Mandatory training. Can we get a plea for everyone to complete the mandatory training? It does link in with the appraisal process. It is important that we do that. Certainly as part of our well-led, we are asked to complete information on mandatory training. So please, big plea to everyone to complete the mandatory training. Finance, I don't think Tina Keith's here. Paul, do you want to say something about the finance section?
I think the finance section, when is self-explanatory. We've got some financial challenges, and I think it's important for us all to bear in mind that being financially sustainable goes hand in hand with performance, quality and safety levels. I think there is going to have to be a significant focus on financial performance across the remainder of this financial year if we are going to achieve our financial targets, Wendy.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Going the Extra Mile Awards, the Trust has now launched across all areas, going the Extra Mile Awards across all areas. It's about looking at staff who go that extra mile, the little things that make a difference to staff. Do you want to say any more on that, Sharon?
Yeah, we started it off earlier in the year, and we've had about, I think it's over 200 nominations now. So anybody can nominate a member of staff that's gone the extra mile, and then they get a thank you card from the person who's made the nomination and a going the extra mile badge. So it's just another way of recognising people that do things. I think one of them that was really heartfelt was the ward manager in one of the wards who'd nominated the cleaner and said thanks for everything that you do. This is keeping the ward clean and patients safe. So it can be anybody and everything.
Thank you. Director of HR. We've now appointed Kevin Moynes as the Joint Director of HR and OD. Kevin's the Director of HR and OD at East Lancashire Hospitals Trust, and he's now going to work with us for the next few months, but we will go out to advert versus the Director of HR for the Trust. Non-medical appraisals. We have extended our deadline for non-medical appraisals until November. 77% staff have had appraisal. There's 9% that have started but not completed it, and 14% of staff still haven't had an appraisal yet. So it really is important that we get those appraisals completed. So that's the reason for extending it, just to allow people time to complete that extra part. And finally, for me, as we all know, it's Remembrance Sunday on Sunday, and here in the Trust we are supporting the Remembrance Week, the 100 years of the war, and the 70 years of the NHS. Hopefully you've all seen, you can't miss it actually, our great Remembrance celebration in the main entrance. It really is amazing if you haven't seen it. To see most of us wearing knitted poppies as well. We had 30,000 poppies knitted, which was across the hospital. There were some other outpatients as well. So it is a fantastic tribute. There will be a service there, a Remembrance service there on Friday morning. Outside we'll raise the flag, and then inside there'll be a service and a 1 minute silence. There's a service this afternoon at Clifton Hospital at 2 o'clock, and on Friday, Sunday morning there'll be a service in the main entrance at our memorial at 11 o'clock for patients and staff and relatives who are in the hospital on Sunday morning. So you know, it is great. It is a great tribute. It's probably, I've been told, one of the biggest tributes and the best ones, certainly on the Fylde Coast. So please, it's a big thank you to everyone who's been involved in that. So that's everything for 2 weeks. The message of the week is positive. So have we got any positive stories? Anyone wants to quote? Any examples of a positive story? Thanks, Marie. I'm not going to come back to you in a minute if nobody else comes up with one before I pick on anyone, no?
Okay, I'll give you one, Wendy. There was a wedding on the Cardiac Intensive Care last week. Somebody unfortunately was dying, but the staff on that ward rallied round to get a cake, to do up the room, and the Blue Sky staff went and got some presents. They got a veil, they got a wedding ring, they got bead books. They gave 2 wedding rings. It's absolutely amazing. Help make this the last hours of this man's life look fantastic. So I thought that was brilliant.
It really is. And are we going to put that story out at some point when the family are ready or not?
It's a little bit,
I know, I
sensitive,
understand that. I understand that.
but it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. It's amazing. Go on, Marie, I'll let you do yours.
Well, I don't think mine was quite impactful, isn't it? All I was going to say, I had a couple of days off last week, so when I came back in yesterday in my post, mentoring Fiona, she's in the room, very active, she's very good at making sure that I know when the wards get a nice thank you from families. So I've got a lovely letter about Ward 7 and Ward 10, and essentially runs around fantastic care given to an individual with learning disabilities, and this family had been on the ward at 12 months before and their experience wasn't great, but what they were really pleased to see was how things had improved. That's absolutely fabulous. And Ward 7 was around the care and compassion given to a member of a family at end of life. So I will be trying to get out to visit those areas this week to give a personal thank you, but I think in terms of everything that we're faced with, in terms of trying to manage care and give good care to our patients, it's fantastic that you see those thank yous in writing and for the time that people take to put those thoughts together to let us know that that was their experience. It's absolutely fabulous. So I think it fits with our value around using every day to make a difference, because certainly the staff in those 2 areas really have.
Any other examples? You've got loads.
Well, I've an example of people-centred, and it is positive as well. I was talking with a lady the other week who unfortunately suffered a stroke several years ago, but she was telling me that she had experience with the extensive care service and said it was absolutely fabulous, and it had completely transformed her life. And she also comes to the ADAS service because she's on warfarin. And the really pleasing thing that I thought from that account was that she said the way that everybody in that service treats every patient is absolutely fabulous. Because they will talk, she's in her 70s, they talk to me in an appropriate fashion, but I see them treating young men and chatting to them in a different way, but an entirely appropriate way for that young individual. And she had nothing but praise for extensive care and the ADAS service. And again, I think, that really is, it's the me test. It's how would I want to be treated? And they're absolutely doing it.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone wants to raise? Everyone's saying stuff. No? Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you.